Hey everyone, welcome to the Not a Lonely Coffee Break podcast. We are your hosts. I'm Maddie.
And I'm Meaghan, and this is a podcast about coffee and work, but make it queer.
Meaghan, you know that I like TikTok, and I'm curious, have you been following the TikTok creator Jules LeBron?
I mean, I see it like on my For You page. I don't really follow people where I'm like, ooh, what did they post about today? But I have seen some
Do you know
things.
who this person is?
Yes. Yes, okay. I do.
I was going to say, have you been living under a rock?
Not quite, no. I'm on TikTok probably way too often.
No, I love it. I love this new phrase of things being demure and mindful.
Yes.
But have you seen some of the latest stuff?
I saw some things where, well, I've seen that it's gotten super trendy and like everybody's using it, right? Like very mindful, very demure, very mindful.
So this week, or like last week, even like late last week, there was this huge thing about how some random person had submitted an application to trademark that phrase before the creator had an opportunity to submit the trademark. And so, you know, immediately TikTok responded and said, this is not right. You can't have it. But I have seen some stuff, even recent as today, where people are saying it was just an application.
Right.
It was kind of application, missing a lot of pieces, and so it is likely that Jules will be able to go and trademark it for themselves. But I also did see, though, they've been talking about, because this went viral, they've been able to get enough money now to pay for their surgery.
Right.
To transition fully. And like that is just amazing.
It really is.
That like one little phrase that you made a TikTok about
is just has gotten you so far to get you where you want to be, right? I mean, that's the point of like being a content creator, to make a business out of it, essentially, you know? I did see like I was looking through her posts and mostly like, I mean, some drama, funny stuff, but then also some makeup trials, some makeup promotions, which is pretty good considering like, especially, you know, for any person who's trying to wear makeup probably knows this. There's a lot out there and not all of it is for you. Skin types and so forth.
For sure. But I also was talking to my wife about this trend because we've been, you know, saying it to each other, of course. And I was like, I want to know what the person looked like that inspired the original video.
Right.
Because the original video, she is discussing how someone is not looking very demure, not very mindful. And so I'm like, what did this person look like that sparked this viral sensation?
Yeah.
It was very demure, very mindful of Jules to not out this person.
Right. That's nice.
For what they looked like. But I really want to know. Spill that tea, Jules. Yeah. Spill it.
Let's let it all out. Let's air it out. But I did see that she was interviewed by RuPaul on Jimmy Kimmel. Like, I guess RuPaul was a guest host, which is freaking amazing.
She's gone like all over the place now, talking about demure. Not only has she been able to get enough money to pay for her transition, she has also been able, I guess her best friend was in a not so great situation, and she has now been able to move her best friend into her house with her, and like she can afford to help take care of her friend as well.
Yeah.
So it's just like, I'm just so inspired every time I hear something, and like I hope that it's all true.
Right.
Because like that
is
just
such want you to be a good person.
I do legitimately want to hear like these awesome stories of community and people who are able to just make a better life for themselves.
Yeah. Yeah, just by being
whatever
themselves.
that looks like for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, just by being themselves and uplifting other people.
Yeah, absolutely. That's pretty awesome. So how's your week been going?
It's been going. It's been pretty busy though,
Summer's almost over. Can you believe it?
I know. On one hand, it's like, well, summer's almost over. But on the other hand,
peace out.
Will not miss the weather that we have had.
No.
It has been a little too hot.
Yeah, I really don't like it. Like, if I don't have a pool on the ready, I don't want any part of this heat. I really don't.
No.
No, it's fun for like a week and then I'm over it. So yeah, I'm excited for that. I'm excited for the fair. I'm excited for the fall. I'm just, let's get it rolling.
So fall, did you see that a certain large coffee chain has already dropped their fall coffee beverages?
Yeah, I did see that.
I have not gotten one yet. It's a little early because it's still like 200 degrees outside.
Yeah,
and I can't just hold this cup of fall beverage in my hand and be like, fall, when I'm sweating.
100 degrees outside.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm like sweating profusely.
So I'll drink hot coffee in the 100-degree heat. I mean, I suffer through it, yes, but I will drink it. I used to have because I used to be a dental assistant, and so if anyone knows dental assisting, like it's a labor hard job. Like, it's a hardy labor job because you're walking around, you're in people's mouths, you're like cleaning, you're doing stuff, you're taking x-rays, you're doing all this stuff, and I get hot. But then I also get tired, so I would have my afternoon coffee. Sometimes you just gotta have it.
Okay, something fun happened this week. Something exciting happened.
Ooh, okay.
A listener emailed us.
We have fans?
Real live listener reached out to us this past week to share their experience about workplace toxicity around their queer identity. Okay. So on one hand, it's like, yay, someone reached out to us. On the other hand, it is a serious thing.
Right, of course.
But I was so grateful that they reached out and shared their story. And I'm going to read a little snippet of what they shared. So I do have permission to share this person's name. Might say it incorrectly. I apologize if I do not pronounce it correctly. Our listener messaged us Elira.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if it's a Lyra or a Lyra, and wanted to share their experience in the workplace. Hey, Maddie and Meaghan, that's us. It is hard to be a trans woman in a workplace because the cultural mindset about trans women is still, quote, he is a man pretending to be a woman, and we have to respect that, end quote, instead of she is a woman. And then I do want to just say, trigger warning for this next part. This is going to involve workplace harassment, but this is what our listener said. So an example of this mindset manifesting was the time I revealed I was trans to a group, and a guy went, "Are they real?" and groped my breast. In his head, my breasts were fake real, and so he could touch them like one would touch the shoulder pad for a cosplayer. She then says, "You better believe I got him fired."
Yes.
But she should have never had to go through that experience.
Like, take your hands to yourself.
Right? When I read that, I was, on one hand, I was shook that this happened. But on the other hand, I was also not surprised.
Yeah.
That this happened. Like, I can't imagine even like being like comfortable and safe enough to even share that you are trans in the workplace, and then to have that kind of response.
Yeah. Like, just don't say anything. Like, if you're going to be disrespectful, like, keep that disrespect to yourself. This person is a person, right? It doesn't matter like what our gender identity is. Like, we need to respect one another.
Well, you shouldn't be in the workplace. You shouldn't be groping anyone's breasts.
No. Oh, groping anyone, period.
Groping anyone, period. It doesn't matter what gender they are. Like, no one should be being touched inappropriately. And for someone to think that that is okay for them to do, go home.
Yeah.
Sit down.
Yeah. Well, hopefully they learned some sort of lesson, because
yeah, I'm grateful, you know, and she did say like I got him fired. So I'm grateful that it seems like she did have, you know, a workplace that backed her up and said, you're absolutely right, there's no place for this. And she did share, I didn't read everything, but she did share with me as we were chatting that she has had pretty decent experiences with higher ups who don't express transphobia in the workplace, and she says I'm blessed with that, of course.
Right. Yeah.
But just like, oh my gosh.
Well, it's like, you can't imagine that that was probably their first time of doing something. Like, if you feel that comfortable to touch somebody in the workplace, you'll likely have probably done it before and thought it was okay. And by the way, people, it is not okay.
It's never okay.
Well, and then that stresses like why we do this work, is because not every workplace has those protections, right? And you know, honestly, I'm glad that she was empowered to stand up for herself, because you hear all the stories of people who have been discriminated upon or have been you know, abused in that way, that they are brought down where they don't feel empowered to do or to protect themselves. So good for you. That is, one, extremely brave, and two, like, you, like, just hearing that, I'm sure will empower other people to protect themselves as well. So
no, I agree. I think there's a couple of things we can sort of take away from it is, and most importantly, no one ever should have to go through that in the workplace. Two, I am so grateful that Elira, and again, I apologize if I'm mispronouncing your name, felt safe enough to even share that to begin with, right? Coming out, and I can't speak for the trans perspective, but just even coming out as a lesbian woman, sometimes I have to consider, like, is this an okay place for me to reveal my sexual identity? So for her to feel comfortable coming out as a trans woman in a workplace, like, awesome. To feel comfortable in stepping more into that authentic version of yourself. And then the third thing, based on some of the other things that were said, you know, wherever she does work or wherever this occurred, they may not have everything put together, but it does seem like they at least had her back and were willing to step up and say, we don't accept this behavior and there are consequences, and you are gone. You do no longer work here because we will not permit you to sexually harass and assault employees because of their gender identity.
Right. Wow. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story, because, I mean, that's why we're here, right? Is to share our stories, to give different perspectives, and to, like, you know, give some sort of, like, to notion to the community is like, these things are still happening, regardless of what people may say, or, like, for instance, well, we're going to get into it, but the protections that trans people need every day to ensure that they can just live their lives in peace, right? And because everyone deserves that. Every single person deserves that. So, and
we can't, I mean, our community can't do it alone.
No.
We need good allies. We need workplaces. We need politicians. We need agencies who are willing to stand up, and you are welcome here.
Right. Right. I don't know if this is a segue, but what's been going on with DPS, with the announcement, I think I read in the Texas Tribune earlier this week that there's a new rule that was passed. They did state that DPS created a rule where if a person is going in as a transgender person, to change their sex on their driver's license or identification, that they'll be put on a list and to deny them that transition. And that list is going to be circulated through DPS and kept, and I guess, and reported on. Just person's privacy is being torn from them. And secondly, anytime a government agency is taking lists of people's names and families' names and keeping it for safeguarding, doesn't ever end up well. Whether it's trans folks or based on your ethnicity. They do that with immigrants coming from certain backgrounds. And it never ends well, it's wild.
Yeah, and it's so it's not just creating this database where they're collecting this information, but they're refusing court orders, or like if someone has already, had the court say, yes, your name has changed and their birth certificate has changed, if it differs from whatever is on file, then they are refusing, and then they're putting your name in this database to be collected. There are some resources. We are going to make sure, if this is impacting anyone who might be listening, if you aren't already aware of some of the resources that I know many of our community providers have stepped up to ensure information and access to other resources, we're going to link at least a link tree to another organization, but they have some really great resources. Will at least maybe give you first steps on maybe some people to reach out to for questions, for help. So you'll be able to find that in our episode description for more information, because it's an important resource. So we want to make sure everyone has access to it that might need it.
And yeah, definitely, reach out to your support system. I can't imagine the thoughts. I mean, not just the logistical red tape that trans folks are having to go through, but also the trauma, right? Is like, I've gone this far to be societally accepted as who I am, and you're denying me this. Like, that is traumatic. There are people out there that are here to help you and that are on your side. And we'll keep pushing those resources and information out as well. But yeah, it's heartbreaking.
Yeah, and we wanted to talk a little bit about it on the show, but Meaghan and I are actually still gathering information about it as well. So that's why we're going to make sure we link the resources, so that way you can also do your own research. But it is something that everyone is still kind of figuring out.
Yeah, wrapping their heads around, honestly.
Wrapping our heads around right now.
Yeah.
For me, not just this, but I also just start thinking about okay, if this can happen, what else can happen?
It's just,
am I going to start being denied things because I'm married to a woman, even though it's legal? I have the paperwork that says our marriage is legal. Is someone going to find some sort of loophole,
right,
to deny me some sort of resource or care or right that I have? So it's just, what's next?
Well, that's also, if you want to get involved, these organizations also have a movement. They are they're advocacy organizations. So if you want to get involved with them as well, they're Texas organizations. I think the ones that I've been looking at. So there's definitely plenty of room out there.
Yeah, it's definitely Texas based. So if you're a listener and you are not in Texas, what does your state have in place?
Yeah,
does your state have any wonky policies? It just makes it all the more important for you to pay attention to things that are in place, or maybe are even coming down the pipeline, and figure out where you stand on it. And then,
yes, you have a voice. I actually got a text message today, and they were like, "You're not registered to vote at your address," and that's kind of sneaky, because I'm like, I don't know who you are. Why are you texting me?
Okay.
But, yes. So check your addresses. Check your addresses. You can look it up. There are websites where you can look up what district you're in. It's safe. It's free. It's basically you just put your information, and then or you can go to a nonprofit who their literal job is to get people to register to vote. They're nonpartisan. They give you instructions on how to register. Make sure you're registered at the right address, because if your ID does not match your voter registration, it won't work.
You can't vote.
Yeah, you can't vote. So please, if you've moved around, It's that time of the year where everyone's moving. So make sure that information gets updated so that you're able to vote safely
And
and without any discrimination.
Don't wait until voting season like starts.
Today.
Do it before. So that way there is time for you to be registered. And then you can also look up the closest places to vote in your area. So you can find a voting place that is right for you. And you can vote for whoever you want to vote for. But use your voice.
Yeah. I mean, at least just do it. I'm not pressuring you, but do it.
We're pressuring you. Do it.
It's peer pressure.
We're pressuring you to vote.
A week. Like there's so much going on. It's the end of summer. Texas DPS, there is for a loop.
Here's even more stuff that's been going on this week. I don't know if it's a lighter note, but your girl Chapel Roan.
Oh, what happened? Tell me more.
So she also has, I guess it's some positive. So she has been raising her voice on her platform.
Love it.
She is big on like TikTok and Instagram, and so she does often post a lot of like video content. And so she has been speaking out and being vocal about boundaries and the need for people to have boundaries.
Yeah.
Because I guess it's getting out of hand. Like people will see her on the street and like follow her for an inappropriate amount of time. They will like randomly come up to her and like ask for pictures and autographs, and she's like, no, because I'm no. And then they like, I guess, get really angry with her and upset, and like she's like, I don't owe you anything. Like,
no, she's I'm entitled to privacy.
Yeah, just because I'm in a public sort of celebrity space doesn't mean that I have to give you an autograph because you scare me by following me for 10 blocks.
Yeah. That's
like, I'm not required to do that. And I guess
if someone followed me for 10 blocks, I'm calling the cops.
Me too. So yeah, I guess that she's had some scary fan encounters recently, and so she is speaking out about it. And some people have been like, "Yay, we agree with you," and then other people are saying like, "This is what you signed up for by being a celebrity."
For it, you know, like she does public appearances, she does concerts, she does VIP, she does probably some like meet and greets. There are appropriate places to do that. Appropriate places,
but like stalking her, like figuring out which hotels she's at and like following her to like as she's going to a grocery store or something, not okay.
Imagine if I ever met a celebrity, like I just imagine like I would know inside my heart would be like, but I'd walk as casually as possible and just like wink at them like and then be like, you're so cool. And I'm like,
have you ever met a celebrity?
I don't think so. I mean, does Representative Colin Allred count? Because I think that's his part.
Yeah.
He's kind of a celebrity now. He's
running. A celebrity.
Yeah, he's running. Yeah, I met Beto O'Rourke one time. I actually have a picture with him. It's not a cute picture. I've met political my past background, mostly out of fun and work, but
I mean, that's still cool. I haven't met them, but one time I did go to an event that both Obama and Bush were at the event. And like, that was cool. Like just being in the same room as two presidents.
That would be wild. You were there?
Like, yeah, I was there.
Wow.
It was a sad occasion, but they both came, and like Bush was there first. Bush and Laura Bush were there first. And like that was cool. It was like, oh, cool. And like I feel like I'd seen Bush before, like at a Rangers game or something.
Right.
But Obama, because he was the sitting president, it was one of those things where like he came in, gave his little notes, and then he left. Heard his helicopter land.
You're like
it was so quiet. We were all like, Obama's here. He came in and like it was just awesome. Like just being in the room as like two presidents.
Yeah,
that was cool. I didn't meet them, but
that is a really neat experience though, because those two presidents were like a really big shift in political trends and like the whole shebang.
And I think we do need to have more friendships like Bush and Michelle Obama.
Yeah. They're definitely like a presence. Like anytime.
Because they're seatmates for like the rest of their life.
I heard about that. Yeah. They sit next to each other. And they kind of like, they're like BFFs kind of.
Yeah, they've developed a cute little friendship. Yeah. Very demure, very cutesy. But yeah, I've never met a celebrity, I don't think. And I always think that I would like play it cool.
Yeah.
Like, no, I'd be like totally cool about it. But no, I'd be like, ugh.
I'm afraid that I would have like word vomit, you know, I just like, you know.
I guess the closest sort of celebrity encounter I have had. I went to college with Brittany Griner, and we weren't friends. Like, Brittany Griner was not in my phone, but we did occasionally hang out in the same circles.
Okay.
And so like there would be times that like we would go out on the weekend for not a coffee drink.
Y'all were just like in a...
And we would be in the same group. And so we would have, like, she knew who I was at the time. And, like, we would have, like, a brief interaction, like, hey, what's up? Hey, let's have a drink. But we weren't, like, besties.
Right.
It was just, we were acquaintances. We were in kind of similar circles sometimes, not all the time, because I'm not an athlete. But I did. I'm sure. 100%.
Wow.
But that's probably my closest celebrity encounter, is being able to say I one time talked to Brittany Griner when we were in school
and we
together.
Had a drink at the same bar.
And we had a drink together. And but she really is really tall. So like when we did talk at the bar, she did make sure to sit down on the stool, and she was still having to like slouch down. That's how tall she is. But it was
how
also
short we are.
It was also really considerate, because she was like, I'm gonna come to your level so that you can talk to me.
Right.
Even though I am not gonna remember any of this.
Brittany, if you're listening to this podcast,
it's gonna have a bigger. She was probably like, "This is gonna have a bigger impact on your life than mine."
Aw, so sweet. Very dramatic.
But yeah, she was cool.
Yeah,
and I like to think that I was chill when I interacted with her. Although she was a big name,
right? Yeah, wild.
Yeah,
cute. Yeah, very cute.
We probably drank way too much coffee to get through that episode today, since it was kind of a downer, but.
You know what? I'm glad we did it, though.
Yeah, no, I'm glad we talked about some important stuff, finished our coffee. So that is our cue to wrap up, though, when we start talking about our coffees being empty. But I think we had a good chat today.
It was fun.
I don't know. Even though it was tough, I feel like a lot better, at least just talking about it.
Me too.
Hopefully some of you guys do as well. And I also just want to thank Elira again.
Nice.
But thank you to everyone who joined us today. Make sure that you subscribe so that you never miss an episode. I know I actually have heard a few people say that they have subscribed, but they're not getting the notifications.
So you gotta hit the bell.
So you gotta make sure, if you're watching us on YouTube, you gotta make sure to hit the bell, because that will notify you when a new episode drops.
Like, subscribe.
So make sure you do that.
Hit the bell.
Or just know, every other Wednesday at 11 o'clock, there's going to be a new episode waiting for you.
And your coffee break.
Your coffee break. Make sure you're also connected to us on social media. We love our socials. We are on Instagram. You can also find us on LinkedIn. You can also chat with us on YouTube, of course. And you can also find us on Patreon. We also are going to be adding, this is exciting, everyone.
Tell us.
We are going to be adding Google Form to our link tree that you can find on all of our social channels. That is our wait list for our podcast coffee mugs. So if you have
for the cold weather,
get ready for the fall season. This is when we all love those hot beverages, whether it is tea, coffee, cider, whatever it is.
Juice.
But if you've been watching us and you have been admiring our cute little mugs, we would love to hook you up with one so you can fill out our wait list and be on the first round of mug purchases when they go out later in the fall season. So yes, we hope to hear from you guys. You can also connect with us on email. We would love to hear from you. So make sure you do that. We are at notalonelycoffeebreak@gmail.com. Thank you for listening to us and having a coffee with us. And we will see you next time. We are your hosts. I'm Maddie.
And I'm Meaghan.
Cheers, queers.